result. Do I have a little more time? I'd like to just end by saying a little bit about some of the work we've been doing with some little bit of research. Research is new to me, Your Holiness, but I know we need to do it. And we had a very small trial, a randomized controlled trial of 57 teachers, 855 children. We wanted to see, are there any effects that we could see? And I'm happy to tell you there were. First in the teachers, because we've learned we have to start with the adults first. This is what we learned on our work. You know, our mutual friend John Kabat-Zinn says, you know, you can't give somebody mindfulness if you're not living that yourself first. So we've got to start there. What we found with teachers is that they were less stressful, they were more mindful, and they had greater relational trust. That simply means they got along better with the people in their school. Now, why this is important for me as somebody who works in schools has to do with a couple of things. One, we know that we're losing so many great teachers. Why? Because they're so stressed. They're not knowing how to balance that inner and outer life. They do good, but they do good badly, you know. They don't know how to take care of themselves. The second thing is when a teacher is more mindful, they're more apt to be more loving and compassionate to their students. And finally, we find out from the other research that when teachers get along better with each other in schools, what happens? Academic achievement goes up. So adults can't be arguing so much with each other. They have to be the ones that begin to show compassion to each other first. And what we found out with young people, we found out that there was less frustration and more what is called autonomy. And for me, that simply means they felt their teacher was listening to them, that they had a greater voice, that it was a more democratic classroom. And of course, we know both of those things are so interconnected to learning. So I would just end by just saying that I'm quite hopeful. I'm hopeful that this next generation is our answer. I'm hopeful that we learn the ways to cultivate those things of mind and heart that are purposeful, that are intentional, and that are deep. That our children can do a better job than we have, but it doesn't let adults off the hook. We've got to be the ones that help them do that and help them continue to do that. Thank you. Thank you.
I'm going to ask you a question. So Linda, speaking for the teachers and the educators in the audience, I wonder if you could just take another minute or so and tell us the kinds of things you did with the teachers in the Inner Resiliency Project that led to those outcomes.
Yes. I wanted to just ask Your Holiness if you had any questions first. Did you?
I think just wonderful.
Thank you.
So your final word is your optimism, optimistic, hopeful. That's very good.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Well, to your question then, what have we been doing with teachers? I guess the first thing is that we've been spending time nurturing their inner lives. You know, what happens in education is that we bring teachers in and we ask them to do one more thing in the classroom. We don't see them as individuals who need the nurturing themselves first. We take them on retreats. We teach them contemplative practices, like some of the things we've been talking about here. We have them embody this first. Because this is the kind of work that kids would see right away if the teacher's not doing it themselves, right? You know? And this is really, really important. And so this is some of the work we've been doing with teachers. And by the way, I'm happy to say that some of those teachers and principals are out there. We're doing this work in New York City, in South Burlington, Vermont, and in Anchorage, Alaska. And all of them have come here today to be with you and to be with us.